Right-wing extremist hate groups. Scott Rader, the guy who murdered Dr. George Tiller 2 weeks ago, belonged to the white separatist group called the Montana Freemen. Over at the website Stormfront, which is one of the leading right-wing militia separatist, white separatist group websites in America, they claim 10,000 new registrations every month. Threads that have been started in the last 24 hours on their message board include titles like James W. Von Braun, victim of Jewish extremism. Another one, our entire race is the victim of Jewish extremism, hate, and genocidal policies. Another one, the Jews are anything but the victims they claim to be. They are the ultimate destroyers. Another one, Von Braun was trying to send a powerful and courageous message. And finally, this brilliant and inspiring, these are the discussion topics. Heroes refuse to go out with a whimper, an example to all of us. What's going on inside these organizations? Brian Tackett is with us. Brian was the... hey, Brian, welcome to the show. Let me give you a proper introduction. He was the former Grand Dragon of the Kentucky Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. He was sentenced to prison for the Barren River Baptist Church bombing in Bowling Green, Kentucky, sentenced to 12 years in prison, a punishment for which you give credit to saving your life. And you have written a book called Inside the Ku Klux Klan, The Rise and Fall of a Grand Dragon, which is published by AuthorHouse, authorhouse.com, in which you lay out actually what went on in all this. You have since, shall we say, and I hope it doesn't sound like a cliche, repented of your sins.
That's correct.
So, sir, tell us, Brian Tackett, first of all, I hear that the KKK is a shadow of its former self. You were there when it was not quite the shadow, but what was and what is the status of the Ku Klux Klan?
Well, the Klan has had about 3 revivals in history. Its first was organized in 1865 and lasted pretty strongly there for 6 or 7 years until the Reconstruction Congress was over. Then it had a revival in the 20s as a result of secret societies, and people just wanted to be part of some type of secret society. And that's when the talk about the hatred for Jews and Catholics and that type of thing really became the staple of the Klan. And then, of course, in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s, it had another revival, trying to oppose the Civil Rights Acts of 1860 and 1864.
1960,
and
yeah.
It kind of has fizzled out since then, and what's happened now is more of these extremist groups, such as the skinheads and these other type groups, have attracted the younger people more so than the Klan. The Klan really has fallen out of favor with the young folks. They prefer more the gang type.
Right, but many of the Klan much of the Klan worldview and many of the Klan traditions and the embrace of kind of a hierarchical, almost militaristic at times way of doing things have been adopted by these other extremist groups, have they not?
That's correct. The only thing about these other extremist groups that was never really a part of the Klan was the publicity that they seek. The Klan historically has always been tried to be secret in the things that it's done, and here lately, it's in the last 20 or 30 years, it hadn't adopted that philosophy. It's been more public in its marches and these type of things, but many years ago, it tried to be as secret as it could be, and of course, that's the purpose of the robes and the hiding the identity of the members.
Right. What drew you to the Ku Klux Klan?
Well, as a young man in the area where I grew up, it's a rural, mostly predominantly white community, and the blacks and the whites get along very well where I live and where I did live in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay.
So, the Klan was, I was exposed to them. I was running a construction company at the time, about 16, 17 years old, in business for myself, and had a chance to come in contact with the Imperial Wizard and did some work for him and got to know him. And I got to know him outside of the Klan, and of course he just kind of befriended me and drew me into the Klan, and I just didn't know that much about it till I got in it. And once I got in it, then I realized that it was extremely difficult to get out of it without losing your life.
Really, why? Or
well,
how?
you take an oath. You take an oath when you join that if you betray the Klan or anything like that, I think the oath says death of a traitor is what you agree to accept. So that's a pretty powerful threat against anyone who joins from. You can join as a public member, and go to a meeting or two or a rally or two, and nobody's going to say anything if you don't show back up. When you become an officer and you get involved in the underhanded dealings that they are involved in, you're not just going to walk away.
Yeah. Well, but you did. And why are you still alive?
Well, this is the first time that I wrote this book about 10 years ago while I was still in prison, mainly as just a way to let the world know what happened to me. But there was a lot that went on that was not in the trial, and a lot that nobody knew. I had to wait till the statute of limitations on a lot of this stuff ran, so nobody would get in trouble.
Right.
But here lately, I've been put in the news as a result of some other issues, and my partners and I thought that it was time to clear the record about myself and that I have no affiliation with that group whatsoever. And they said, hey, go ahead and publish the book now. And I thought, well, I wasn't going to publish it until I was either in my 70s or post-mortem, to be honest with you.
Yeah. One of the stories we're talking with Brian Tackett. His book is published by authorhouse.com. It's called Inside the Ku Klux Klan, The Rise and Fall of a Grand Dragon, which is the title that he held in the Kentucky Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. One of the stories that we hear is that the two major hotbeds for recruiting of right-wing, white, separatist extremists are within the prisons and within the military. Do you have any experience with either of those or thoughts on those, or is there some other area where people are being brought in?
Well, I wouldn't know too much about the military. I haven't had any experience with that, but prison, certainly, yes. I've spent a lot of time in United States federal penitentiaries, and I know a lot about that. Racism is very, very rampant in the penitentiary systems, and I mean, much more rampant than it is out here.
Right.
So it is a good location to find people who are willing to listen to anti-other race rhetoric.
Right.
But also where these organizations look for people that they really want to join is the colleges. The later years of high school and the early years in college.
Yeah.
Because these are generally individuals who still have a little money. They're still drawing some money from their parents. They can pay dues. They can make donations. And they're showing a willingness to learn and be in school.
Right.
And these people really like to have people that are educated.
And these are the formative years.
Exactly.
And I should say, with regard to the military, actually, what I've heard is that it's not in the military. There's a big problem, actually, particularly at the Air Force Academy, with Christian fundamentalism being, infiltrating the military. But it is, after people leave, it's military vets, people who have left the military, who are being aggressively recruited by these Christian fundamentalists and Aryan Nation and the militia and white supremacist groups, at least from what I'm reading. And I'm assuming the Klan as well.
Yeah, the Klan is not having a lot of luck at recruiting new members these days. Like I said earlier, I believe that these other groups that are more novel and have a more modern basis of the theology.
Do you think the costume is just viewed now as a little quaint, rather and being skinhead and decked out in leather is more in, or something? Is it?
Right. I believe it's a stylish thing. Also, we had an issue. This was one of the things that brought up in my book. The skinheads tried to form a skinhead group from California tried to form a coalition with our Clavern in Kentucky. We had a rally there, and when the two of us got together, we were extremely different in our ideology, and we didn't form the coalition for that reason. But we had the rally to see if we could get along. But they were much more extremist in the violence, the open violence, as opposed to.
Yeah, sir, we have a half a minute left. I'm sorry about the turning of the clock, but suggestions. How do we wake America out of this insanity that we're seeing right now? This killing yesterday, for example.
Educate the people. Educate the people about what extremism means. Now, I'm not just talking about on radio. Educate them in school. You put it in your curriculum. Teach these young folks at an early age about the differences in race and why these problems are there. Face our past. It's right to be ashamed of it, but you need to face it and talk to the children. Get them on board at an early age.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a brilliant analysis. Brian Tackett, the former Grand Dragon of the Kentucky Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. He is the author of Inside the Ku Klux Klan, The Rise and Fall of a Grand Dragon. You can find it over at authorhouse.com, and I'm assuming all the usual outlets for books. Brian Tackett, thanks for dropping by today.
Thank you, sir.
Good talking with you.